Hey guys, and welcome back to another Fun Friday Ideas with me, Susan Morgan, your speech language pathologist. As you know, October was AAC Awareness Month, and for our last installment of AAC Awareness, I want to talk about something called aided input. We've talked already about core versus fringe vocabulary. We've talked about the importance of core versus fringe vocabulary in giving our children flexible communication. We've also looked at two different AAC systems, Toby Dynavox Snap Plus Core and PRC's Words for Life. Today, what I want to discuss is a method for teaching AAC and how to use a speech generating device. The best practice for using and teaching an AAC device is going to be aided input. This is actually, when you think about it, this is how we learned how to use our words that we use to verbally communicate. We weren't told specifically, say apple, every time we wanted an apple or that we saw an apple. What really happened was that there was an apple in front of us. We heard people using the word apple. We heard people using the word eat and red or green and crunchy and juicy. We heard all of these different words in a context that was emotionally engaging for us because either we liked apples, our caregivers liked apples, or maybe we didn't like apples. And that's how we learned the word apple in all of its very contexts, in an emotionally engaging way that was spontaneous and connected with our attention. It's important that we keep this in mind while we're teaching our children how to use a speech generating device. And we avoid using directions such as find apple, push the apple, push the apple. Because now they're just learning to find that picture just like they do in some receptive language tasks. They're just learning to push that button and then, eat. Find eat. That's a one-step command. That's not connected to a context. That's not connected to an emotion of being hungry and wanting something to eat. So then outside of this environment, when we need them to say, hey, I want something to eat, they're not going to understand how to flexibly do that because it hasn't been connected to an emotion. It hasn't been connected to a context for them. All they've learned is push, eat, and following that one-step command. So it's important that during snack time, for example, because I know feeding is a big time for us to use these devices. So during snack time, during lunch, what's important is that we're also using the device. Another rule of thumb that I like to expect with our children is if you're not going to do something yourself, don't expect it from your child. And vice versa. If you expect your child to do something, you need to do that as well. A perfect example is the word stop. Stop. We tell our children all the time, stop doing that. No, don't do that. But yet when our children try to tell us the same thing, stop, back off, a lot of times we don't listen to that. So that makes them feel like this word, stop, has no real meaning because if my parent isn't going to do it, why should I do it? That's how we learn things, is through examples with our caregivers. If we expect our children to listen to us, we need to listen to them. So like I said, using aided input means that what we are doing is we are using the device while we are talking to our child and expecting them to use the device to talk back to us. Rather than finding buttons and pushing buttons, we are asking them, what do you want? Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Or are you thirsty? Or maybe you're just, wrong button. Or maybe you're just, let's see if I have it on here. Or maybe you're frustrated. I love giving that word to our kids because frustrated is such an important emotion that they all feel to an extreme. So I like to make sure that I am modeling that, like, oh, you look frustrated, or I am so frustrated with what's going on. That way, again, it's giving that word frustrated a connection, a context, so they can learn how to use it later rather than hitting their brother or biting their sister when they're frustrated. They now have a word that they can use to tell everybody, hey,
Frustrated.
I'm frustrated.
Stop
For a second. Without giving these words contexts, it makes it very hard for our kids to learn them and learn when to use them and when not to use them. Another thing that I like to really focus on is directing actions and using a descriptive, action-based approach with our core language. What's really fascinating is in our first developed core vocabulary set, there are very few nouns. Most of the words that we learn in our first package of words are going to be verbs because that's how we experience things in our environment. We learn through actions. That's our higher level thinking, is not about objects. Objects are the base thinking. When we start really manipulating our environment and learning the way things work, we start using action words because that's how we learn, is through actions and connecting actions to emotions and contexts. So I like to use an action-based descriptive approach. I use a lot of action words such as open. Open that box. Open that door. Turn on the water. Turn on the water. Turn off the water. Make the water hot. Make the water cold. Make the swing go fast. So go. Oops, wrong button. We can do go. Go fast. And with go fast, we could be talking about a car. We could be talking about a swing. We could be talking about the way that we pick our children way up in the air and then down, 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 down. Maybe they want that fast, or maybe they want it slow so they can feel each inch they go up. We can give them the words to do that. And by giving them the words to do that with an aided input and a descriptive action-based core vocabulary, they're now learning how to use these words. They're not memorizing them. They're not just pushing buttons. They're using words to interact with their environment, to interact with you, to get their needs met, or to tell you to back off. And like I said, it's so important that we listen when they tell us these things. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed my little spiel there on aided input and using a descriptive action-based approach with core language. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them for you. All right, guys, until next week, I'll see you later.